Hello and good day. Here we are looking at the screen of an 8296, and I found this little program on a disc, a T-Pug disc PT2, and it is sound effects on the PET, which, well, you know, the sound on the PET wasn't great. But if you had this program and you did want to add some sounds into something, I would suspect that each one is its own little subroutine or routine. So let us press A and hear what something is. Well, that sounds almost like one of those big factory alarm things, sort of, kind of. Let's press B and see what tilt is. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And Dixie. And phaser. Police. Popcorn. The big bell. Mini buzzer. Skyrocket. Telephone. I don't think anybody's answering. Row your boat. What is a computer sound? Navy alarm buzzer. Yeah, that sounds like what would go on in a submarine. I want to just listen to something for a second. Oh yeah, that's different. Okay, wacky artillery shell. And twinkle. And quit. Yes, thanks for listening indeed. So if we list this program, wow, the guy put his at, I wonder if he's still there. So there's a lot of setting up going on. Looks like data. So I would suspect oh yeah. So it looks like each sound effect, just quickly as I'm looking at this, is in there in its own little spot, and then 9, 10, 9. So if you did want to snag something, I suspect you could. So let's see, if I were to just say, and this may not work, but just looking at this, if I were to say go to 1000, I think some sound is going to come out. I could be wrong. No. Okay, obviously there's a little bit more. Probably some of the setup is required. That would have done... Ah. Okay, so obviously it's not as simple as quickly looking at the listing to snag something and make it work. Let me just try one more thing just for fun. I'm going to go to 470, which I think should do something. And of course it does. No, it does not. Anyway, if you were interested in having sounds in a program, and actually the one that I find kind of the most interesting, that might be cool to have in something as your computer was doing something, or pondering doing something, or something or another, is a computer sound. How cool is that? So once again, this is on an old disc, came from the Toronto PET users group. Let's see, when I got this, they were at 1912A Avenue Road, Suite number 1. I know for a fact that building has now been torn down and is being rebuilt. It was on the corner of Avenue Road and Brook in Toronto. Right on the corner, there was a television repair store and other such things, but upstairs it was kind of cool. There were a number of offices, and as TPUG grew, which they did, and they were still fairly hefty before they moved, but that's a whole other story of, I'm not sure how to put it. It's a long story. There, you know what, as much as TPUG was a great organization, there was a lot of stuff that went on that perhaps at times the authorities should have been summoned. Which may be a bit of an overstatement, I don't know. But anyway, there was a lot of silly things that went on that really didn't help. But you know, that's what happens at a lot of organizations. So, it is time to call it a night. Because if I stay up much longer, I might start to tilt. And no, I'm not going out to row a boat. Computer sound, yes. You know what I might do? And I'm not sure if I can do this. Maybe I'll try and snag the computer sound and somehow stick it into copy all. So as things are copying, the machine is doing its thing. Now, these sounds, of course, are not very loud. They're just coming off the tiny, tiny, tiny little speaker inside. There is a way, of course, using what they call CB2 sound, and there's a circuit and such, and it's not terribly complicated. but generally that then has to go into an amplifier so it can be amplified, of course. So, enough for now. I hope you've enjoyed this. I do, just for any that are curious, of course, the 64 in the SID chip is far advanced, so far advanced than this. But back in the day, this was high tech. So, thank you for coming. Bye for now.